Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Nazar Labunets with Ataccama, and today I have the pleasure of talking with Danielle Cloud, Senior Vice President, Enterprise Data Governance and Platforms at American Express. Danielle, nice to have you with us today.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Nazar.
Let's start by you telling us a bit about yourself.
Well, I lead the enterprise data governance and platforms teams, as you mentioned, and our team's responsible for creating data products that enable business growth and world-class customer experiences while providing enterprise-wide data management strategy and governance solutions across the company. We believe like data fuels everything that we do. And so the data management is an important aspect of mitigating our overall operational risk while ensuring that trusted quality data is used in the various aspects of our business. For people who like get to know me, I lead with creative, collaborative, and an enterprise mindset, connecting people, process, technology, all back to generating customer value. The customer is at the center of everything that we do. I have over 20 years of experience at American Express. And in that experience, I've delivered products, I've forged relationships, developed talent, and improved the ways of working from various roles that I've held, which include service engineering. I was an industrial engineer by trade, fraud risk management, where data and models and some of that like became foundation to kind of build towards a role that I have now. Our international issuer point of sale solutions. These are things like, putting in more secure chips for our cards, doing contactless payments, some of the mobile wallet work that we did across international markets, leading product development for our lending platform. So having a real solid background for how our account receivable systems work. And then moving into technology where I had both the product and the software engineering responsibility for our loyalty platforms. And again, it was a great foundation of looking at how systems work, the role that data plays in the kind of ingress and egress for those systems. So great, foundation for the role that I have now.
It does feel that data is extremely important for you and for American Express and throughout the different positions that you held. So let's talk about the importance of data governance, when it comes to using data for all of those great things that you mentioned.
So while I did all of these great things, I think the word governance initially for me was a little intimidating because I wasn't really sure what I was getting myself into. American Express, we operate in a data-driven environment. It's complex because of all the different kind of product, services, business units that we have. And when I think about our need to kind of manage credit and fraud risk, operational risk, to do financial reporting, some of the marketing decisions we have, the customer experiences that we're driving that would then lead to kind of our revenue growth and keeping a competitive advantage, all while kind of achieving regulatory compliance as a financial institution, right? It's a lot. And so like the need to look at data as an asset, right? It is strategic for our company, and managing it the right way is vital to our success. So coming into this role, I think we looked at data governance in the way that it's not like we didn't do it. We had it, right? It was embedded in individual business units, and those business units are responsible for managing the data. I would say, though, that as more data was coming in, as technology was evolving, we were recognizing that we didn't want or necessarily need every business unit to kind of invent their methodology themselves, right? Like we wanted to kind of look at where can we do things at scale, where can we do them more consistently, while leveraging kind of the best practices across them. And so, I saw my role and our team's roles to say, how do we provide training, processes, tools, a monitoring methodology, and ongoing support to do that in that more consistent and effective way, as well as iteratively, right? That agile methodology I picked up working in technology, right? Improving because the technology, the regulations, and business needs are going to continue to evolve. So this program has to be organic and evolve, with those things. So again, I just think we had the solid foundation, but it was, the work was starting to kind of think about, and I kind of use a twist on a term, minimum viable consistency, right? And like looking at ways to, help do this better.
Why is consistency so important, when it comes to, I know, different business units, etc. What does it help you achieve?
I think consistency, it helps on a multiple set of dimensions, right? So one, if you're trying to explain, right, like, because again, the taxonomy is a bit of a killer in this industry, right? Like we can use a lot of different terminology. So if we can be more consistent when you have, whether it's senior leaders, whether it's auditors, whether it's external regulators that are coming in, it's a lot easier to communicate, to evidence what we're doing if we're doing those things in a more consistent way. And I think, just coming back to like just being more efficient and scaling, like, do we really need every business unit to come up with their own, data quality tool or their own reporting? So I think there's some cost effective, efficiency gains as well that come from some of that consistency.
All right. So, when should you start setting up data governance programs? What's the point in growth, or what should be the driver?
I think that there's probably two things to think about when you're setting up a data governance program. One is like, you know, that observation of, do you see multiple parts of your business trying to do it? And are you observing that perhaps they're doing it in slightly different ways that you would benefit from a centralized approach to the program? And then I think the second piece is, really kind of looking at how strategic does your company view this? And like in American Express, I mentioned this is a strategic, data's a strategic asset. So this was very important. And so when we thought about starting our program, it was critical that we had, a senior advisory board, and we internally refer to it as our enterprise data committee. And these are, senior vice presidents and above, executive vice presidents that have the level of awareness of the importance of data, and they're setting expectations in their business unit. That this is a driver and a priority for them. We spoke and engaged all of the business units, right? It's not like they were doing nothing, right? They were already on a journey, and we had to leverage the relationships with those senior advisors to then say, okay, how do we now work with your teams, take the best of what they have, and then look at a way of managing a program that has central aspects, but a federated operating model, right? Where they're still in control. The resources are not reporting away from them to a center line, but they're still very much embedded within their organizations. And when we thought about scoping the program, right? Because data governance can cover a very wide range of data risks. We really had to think about that in a couple of dimensions, right? The first dimension was like, what's the most immediate outcome that we wanted to focus on, which was, sourcing trusted data in that consistent way, particularly looking at data ownership, data cataloging, data lineage, data quality, and the system data certification for that lineage as key execution steps. And then I think the second part of that was the recognition that, you're not going to be able to govern all data attributes or elements, right? You had to figure out what are the most critical things within, some defined domains, and, prioritize those domains. We focused on, our financial data domain, our risk data domain, where a lot of our credit and fraud risk models are, and our customer domain, where again we had a lot of like regulatory things that we were looking at the sensitivity of personal data. And so by focusing in those areas and then prioritizing and coming up with a methodology of what are your critical data elements, managing that subset of critical data elements within those domains and within the system lineage that they're traversing gives us broader data governance benefits. And so that was kind of where some of that initial scoping of the program started. And then, for me, defining data roles. I think for a lot of teams, the data became, and managing data and governing data became a sidecar job. It was a sidecar job for engineers or for the business, or for product owners. And so we thought it was really important to make sure that we were establishing, dedicated job roles, and we had a job code and job families, and we helped all of the different business units add resources, and we were, from like the top of the house getting the funding and then embedding those resources in kind of defined roles across their organizations, and making that case for enterprise investment, right? Like in reiterating and communicating the importance of the critical data that we were governing and what it was powering, and making sure that at an executive committee level, they were prioritizing investment and funding to do this, which we've definitely seen and continue to see, which is, probably not always the place that maybe some of my peers in other companies are feeling. So we've worked hard to kind of get that buy-in and support, and it's there.
Thank you, Danielle, for joining me today. Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.
Great. Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun. It's great to meet you as well, Nazar.